Beyond the podcast of 1984. Beyond the podcast of 1984. Beyond the podcast of 1984. Beyond the
Testically and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, here we are. You're listening to the Beyond the podcast of 1984. This is your parasitic co-host. This is your parasitic host, the Bizarre Alien, also known as Bizarre Trilly Alien, a.k.a. Thy Biz Chazlan, a.k.a. Charles the Bizarre Alien. So anyways, here we are. This is a new podcast by me. Like I said, it is called Beyond the Podcast of 1984. And I took the name after, going through a bunch of names quite a while ago. I was going through all these names and just none of them really fit. And so I was thinking about the Plasmatics. And one of my all-time favorite albums is Beyond the Valley of 1984, which came out in 1981, and it's a really kick-ass album. Of course, Wendell Williams, the singer, just an awesome lady, rest in peace. So anyways, I tried to start doing this podcast last night, or actually technically this morning after work, but it just wasn't working out, and I was also really depressed and just kind of out of it. But anyways, here I am upstairs in my house, surrounded by tons of movies and anime and animated films and just all kinds of crazy movies, and my action figures I got lined up on my wall, my amps, my guitars, bass, all that. Got a cat that won't cut that out, man. I love you too. Jeez. Beyond is a podcast of 1984. 1984 was like one of the greatest years of my life. That's when I first really, I was getting into music and stuff. MTV was really cool. A lot of cool movies on back then. And of course, I was 13 years old. So I wasn't really collecting music. I was just watching MTV back when it was good and listening to the radio back, in my opinion, when it was good. Had my best friend, Wayne, who really inspired me to get into doing voices and stuff. And we hung out a lot. He listened to a lot of music. He was more kind of like, I wouldn't really say a collector, but he had a lot of 45s and stuff. He had a lot of cool records and, just like a bunch of, random stuff like Devo and Quiet Riot. I think he had Dexy's Midnight Runners. I had the Pac-Man Fever album by Bunker and Garcia, which I still need to get in my life. I love that album. That's such a cool album. But my friend Ron posted that, I don't know, a couple of years ago or so, and it just brought back a lot of memories. I was like, wow, man. But so the quote-unquote theme for this show, I don't know if it's even really a theme. I guess it kind of is. Is this going to be whatever, Probably just talking a lot about, stuff that I like, that makes me happy, that I have, kind of obsessions with. Of course, definitely that being like Mad Max 2, which is my all-time favorite film. I love that movie, and there will definitely be an episode about that, and definitely something I've been planning for years. I was going to write it kind of like an essay just for the fun of it. And then I thought, it'd be kind of cool to do a video. And then I'm like, well, maybe one day I could do a podcast about it. But anyways, I'm going to do a special called WTF Zombies. And that's basically, I'm going to talk about my favorite crazy zombie movies that defy the genre of zombie movies, because there are definitely many out there. Definitely, especially of the Italian persuasion, like, Hell of the Living Dead, Burial Ground, Nightmare City, Zombie 2, 3, and 4. Just a whole bunch of those crazy movies that I absolutely love. And some people think they're crap. I think they're awesome. But I'm also going to be talking a lot about, for the people that know who I am, I've been doing my band, the Earwigs, since, and I always like to give the date, August 90. But anyways, I'll be talking about, probably a history of the Earwigs, a bunch of funny stories and some not so funny. I'm going to talk about my times hanging out in Ohio, with Pile of Eggs and, the crazy stories and fun stuff. Talking a lot about like the old quote unquote, the noise, grind noise, noisecore, whatever scene, I've there's a lot of crazy stuff. Talk about movies and anime and a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff that I love, I'm sure I'll probably be doing an episode about Sockeye, who rules, one of the craziest, most ridiculous bands in the world, and talking about crazy fun stuff. But anyways, so this is like my introductory episode. And so if it's kind of all over the place, well, that's me, man. Bizarre Alien. I'm like this in real life. I'm feeling kind of good right now. I'm feeling a lot better than last night. Take a swig. I'm drinking some coffee. Oh, but yeah, I've been through a whole lot of stuff. I'm 52 and a half now, and it kind of freaks me out even admitting my age, because I don't feel like I'm actually that old. It's weird, and it's funny because I've met a lot of people that have told me, like, dude, if you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't believe it. I've had people, tell me that I seem a lot younger than I am, and that's cool. But the thing about me is I don't put on an act of who I am or whatever. And in this show, I've got my opinions about all kinds of things, but definitely not really interested in talking about politics or anything. I might bring up stuff once in a while, but this show is going to be about all kinds of, fun and weird stuff. And of course, I'm looking at all my movies, and that's probably my biggest obsession. I think I have, last count was like over 6,000 movies. I think that I still have a handful of VHS, but I actually got rid of a lot. I used to have I can't remember. I had a really massive collection, but I had to move, so I had 3 days to move out, and I threw away a lot. And some of them I regret. I wish I still had. But I still have, it's not really a big box, but I don't know, I've got, some VHS. I've got some VCDs from a long time ago. I have literally a ton of DVDs. And unlike a lot of people, I'm not, I've gotten rid of some. I've traded some off because some movies, I ended up getting on Blu-ray. There are quite a few DVDs that are still, the movies are only on DVD. And then there's some movies that I'm keeping even though I have the Blu-rays of them, I'm keeping the DVDs because the DVDs are, cool. I mean, the art's different. Usually the art's different. Like, for example, I've got 3 versions of Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. I have the old 2-disc set, the DVD with a reversible cover. And then years and years later, actually only a couple years ago, I got the Blu-ray, and the cover is just kind of generic, and it doesn't have the documentary that's on the DVD, which is kind of odd about, the real Henry Lee Lucas. And then, early this year, I accidentally bought the 4K, which I didn't mean to. I was in the 4K section. I didn't realize it was a 4K, and I don't have a player. So anyways, I bought it, and I'm actually glad I did because it comes with a really cool poster, and it has 2 small books. And, one of these days, maybe I'll get the player, the screen, but right now it's not a big deal because I have the other, versions of it. But anyhow, I have a lot. It's actually a pretty decent size, but I got a little obsessed. And for a while there, I was collecting movies like crazy, but because of my rent going up. Yeah, I love movies. I have a lot of movies, man. So I don't know. I guess I like a lot of different stuff. My favorite genre is probably horror. I like horror and splatter and slasher films. I like exploitation and giallo. I like some occult films. That's a genre I really like. I love science fiction. I'm a really huge fan of post-apocalypse, but especially Mad Max 2, a.k.a. The Road Warrior. That's, like I said, it's my favorite movie of all time.
The Warrior of the Wasteland!
But I love the genre a lot. I'm a huge fan of, the new Barbarians.
At the beginning of the 21st century, the nuclear holocaust had come to pass.
Love The Rover. I've watched that 3 times now. That's a really cool movie.
Whatever you think's over for me was over a long time ago.
The Book of Eli. I like Waterworld. I actually used to hate Waterworld. I bought it years ago on VHS. I got it used at Pawn One downtown, and I thought it was really boring. And then years later, I was like, I found it in a $5 bin at Walmart. And I'm like, yeah, why not,
And into all this water?
You're asking the wrong person.
And I really liked it. I was like, wow. But as a genre, I love, Excuse me. Duh. You know, and I love The Bronx, 1990, The Bronx Warriors. Steel Dawn with Patrick Swayze is fun. Kind of, I don't know, you know, I like to say it's corny. It's a little corny, but it's a fun movie. This is a lot of those, you know, post-apocalypse. I really, really love that stuff. I like a lot of, like, just films from all over the world. Like, I'm a big Kinji Fukasaku fan. I love cyberpunk stuff like, you know, Shinya Tsukamoto. I'm a big fan of his. I'm trying to collect everything by him. I've got multiple versions of Tetsuo 1 and 2 because I love those movies so much. I like, you know, movies like 964 Pinocchio and Rubber's Lover. I love Blade Runner, Star Wars, which is, of course, not cyberpunk, but you know what I mean? That's like one of my favorite. Huge fan. I love Star Wars. I like them all. Of course, the trilogy, as I call it, the Holy Trilogy, will always be the best. But, you know, I can appreciate all the other ones. You know, people argue about those. I'm like, whatever. If you don't like it, don't watch them. I like a lot of crime films, especially like Euro crime, like Italian crime films, spaghetti westerns, a lot of action films, you know, past and present. And I'm looking over here, samurai films. I've got a lot of that in my collection. I've got, you know, martial arts, like Shaw Brothers, and just a bunch of different stuff. I like a lot of shot-on video, splatter films, and horror, like Violent Shit, the Violent Shit collection, you know, Boarding House, Cannibal Camp Out, all that kind of stuff. You know, the classic shot-on video, splatter, like stuff like Sledgehammer, and we get a lot of Indonesian films. I'm just kind of going on and on, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, you know, you kind of get the gist of it. I've been to a lot of movies, but I also, the last 3 years, have been watching a lot of stuff that I normally wouldn't have watched, you know, like some kind of, I don't know if you want to say drama, kind of quirky, slightly odd films like Inherent Vice, Bad Times at the El Royale.
Can I confess something to you? I'm not really a priest.
God, I'm trying to think, you know, films like The Green Book. None of those movies are horror or anything because that's was all I used to be into was like, you know, pretty much horror films, sci-fi, some action, you know, mainly 80s, and then anime, which I love anime. I have a huge anime collection here. I have a ton of anime and animated stuff. God, trying to think. But I like just a lot. I like movies a lot, you know, and I love Godfrey Ho.
I am totally invincible.
We stayed up all night just to kill him for you.
Quite an exotic mover.
I like really bad movies. Early this year, I got the Birdemic trilogy. My brain feels damaged, but that first one was really entertaining how horrible it was, and the second and third one were just horrible. I mean, oh my God. They were really hard to sit through, but the first one, I mean, as horrible as it was still, like, you know, pretty fun. And I love, you know, like Tommy Wiseau.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I have some of his stuff, you know, The Room. I have his Neighbors TV series he did. What's this one called over here? This one, it's a 2-movie set. Yeah, Best Friends, which I highly recommend. It's really odd. It's him and Greg Cicero, and it's actually pretty good. It's like 2 movies. It's like a collection, and they're really odd, but they're cool. You know, the usual hilarious acting. I don't really want to say bad acting because this is how his movies are. And whether it's on purpose or what, I don't know, but I think there's something magical about Tommy's films, you know. But anyways, you know, I've been doing my band since August of 90 and slowed down a lot, still kind of doing stuff. I just got asked to be interviewed for this old friend of mine I've heard from in a long, long time, William Wisbicki. He's doing a podcast. And I actually was thinking about him one night. It's kind of funny. And all of a sudden, it's like, I get this message, and I'm like, heck yeah, I'll do it, man. So I guess sometime in January, I'm really looking forward to that. You've got to you got to try something. You got to be funny and do something. The hell are you doing? This is very dull. I don't understand you. Why don't you do some push-ups or something and go for a brisk jog? Yeah. This coffee isn't bad. This is like my 3rd cup today. So yeah, my place is kind of a wreck right now. This room is a mess. There's like stuff all over the place and very unorganized. I'm trying to straighten things up. I'm trying to organize. I'm supposed to be putting stuff together for a double LP by the Earwigs on breathing problems, and I'd like to do that. I'd love to do that. My buddy Rusty was like, hey, man, how about, like, next year, like 2024? I talked to my friend Zach about, mastering it, try to get it all at the same level, and I'm excited about it, but I've recorded, like, it's not really new now, but I did do an album. It's called Brush Your Teeth with Fucking Shit. The stupid chord is really ticking me out. Okay. God, if it would stop doing that. Anyways, I did that, and I just been kind of sitting on it. I haven't really done anything. I need to send off some copies. I was collecting all these boxes because I want to hand draw stuff on the cover and then, put the CD in the box, and then, I don't know. I need to make copies of the pages of all the song titles. It's like 170 songs, and it's all total shit, garbage, noise, grind, vomit. It's a lot like the early Earwigs. And I'm pretty proud of it. I was recorded during a bleak time because I thought I was going to have to move. But anyways, that's been done, and I have all this other stuff. And it's a matter of just being inspired. And so I haven't been feeling very good for the last few years, and then I just found out less than a month ago that I have stage 1 diabetes. I've been saying diabetes, but I'm like, diabetes. So luckily, thankfully, it can be reversed, but I got to take it seriously. So myself personally, I quit drinking like a couple days is going to be like 3 weeks because I took a bunch of meds one night and I drank a bunch of beer like 5 minutes after it, and I did not feel that good the next day. And I'm like, and of course, the doctors, they always tell you should never mix medicine with alcohol. It can cause negative side effects. And like, obviously, duh. So, yeah, what can I talk about? I mean, I don't know, like I was saying, I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while. I wanted to do it like 2 years ago, and I thought it was going to happen. And then, of course, you know how things go. It didn't happen. And then I talked to my buddy Tim, who's producing this, and I really thank you very much, my friends. I'm finally doing it. Been really inspired, and like I was saying, I feel better right now because yesterday I kept trying to do this, and I screwed it up, and I kept turning it off and erasing it and then doing it again. But so, I'm just kind of rambling here, and I'm looking at a bunch of skulls on my floor. Of course, they're not real. Would it be funny if they were? Well, maybe not. But no, like I was saying, I'm into a whole lot of different things. I have a whole lot of things to talk about. It's just right now, since this is, the first episode, I should mention that reason why I've been wanting to do a podcast is so bad is because, I'm not so much now just because of all the changes, but I was really into last stream on the left. And unfortunately, if anybody follows that, that Ben is no longer part of that, unfortunately, because of allegations of, unfortunately, like a lot of people nowadays, it seems like, abuse. I'm like, great, man, great. So it's still a cool show. They have a new guy on there that replaced him. I don't know if he's ever coming back. But I really love that show, and, those guys always made me really happy, and, I was watching it a lot. I was watching it, like, every day, and I was thinking, man, I wish I could do something like this, but here I am, and anyways, I really hope that guy gets help, and I hope that he has apologized and all that. I mean, I don't really know the entire story, something to do with an ex-girlfriend, and that's pretty sad, man, because life is too short, but I hope, that good things come out of all that, because sometimes good things come out of bad things. So, but anyways, I wanted to thank them because a big, big inspiration to want to do this. Plus, I'm kind of a big mouth, and I was doing comedy for a while. I'd say maybe a year, a little bit more than before the whole COVID crap happened. I was doing comedy a lot. I was doing it like every other week. And I don't know. I have all of those shows. I was at a friend, he showed up, and he would film it, and for the most part, I was pretty horrible. I tried, and, they say just keep trying and trying and trying, but I don't think that I was very good. But, I mean, I tried. Some people told me they thought I was funny, but my comedy, apparently, some of it, I guess, was funny, but I had people saying that, some people would come in and go, dude, I really like your comedy. It was different. It's not like everybody else. And I appreciated that. And that's what I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to be like everybody else. Like, I would show up and let's say, like, I do an introduction, like, hi, I'm True Styles, but I can't do this tonight because I'm too shy. So I have my alter ego here. And then I'd turn around and I'd put a homemade mask on or some weird mask. And I'd turn around and I'd, do like, oh, hello, what a beautiful evening it is. Yes, blah, 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 and I do like a British voice. And people would just sit there and look at me like, duh. And it probably didn't help that every time I've done stand-up or attempts to do stand-up, half the audience is drunk. It's just, is that all it is? And it was really disappointing, man. And I tried. I was invited to play a showcase with 3 other comedians, and I ended up, it was supposed to be 15 minutes each, and I did mine. I said, do you want me to stop now? I kind of leaned over, and I was like, no, keep going. So I did it for like 45 minutes, and it was probably, I'm sure for the people there, it was like one of the worst things they've ever seen. But I gotta say, it was an interesting experience. It was... But most of my stuff was pretty horrible, and I ended up quitting. Like, the last time I did comedy, I was just like, this sucks. I almost just handed the microphone back to the guy there. I almost just, So I ended up, I quit. I was kind of bummed out about it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to come back. And when I was going to come back, everything was shut down, and that was it. And I've never done it since. And it kind of bums me out because I've had a lot of people think I'm funny, but it's like when you get up on a stage, it's like a whole different thing, So anyways, I'm kind of a big mouth. Of course, right now, I'm being a big mouth. I'm just nonstop blabbing, but I'm also like highly caffeinated, which is good. But it also, just doing shows, I'd be so scared I'd have to drink a bunch of beer. And I'm like, that's lame. It's like, if we got to keep drinking just to have courage, that's a waste of time, in my opinion. It's like, no wonder so many people have problems. They're like alcoholics and blah, And that was the end of that coffee. I was not bad for being lukewarm. I watch comedy off and on, watch stuff on YouTube. Of course, who doesn't? I like to make fart sounds with my mouth. Some people think that's really immature. I used to do zines. And I always like to ask people questions about poop. And what's really funny is one day, years ago, I interviewed Vaginal Discharge, my 2 friends, Stan and Ryan, rest in peace, buddy. Ryan's like, what is it with all these poop questions, dude? What the hell is up with you? And I was just laughing. I thought it was great. I don't know if he was really mad or if he was being sarcastic, because Ryan was a pretty funny guy, too. He's a really cool guy. But some people have told me, like, that's really gross. That's obnoxious. Why do you grow up? Whenever people tell me that, I'm like, I'm as tall as I'll get, dummy. I'm not going to get any taller, so stuff it up your ass. Like I said, I've tried comedy. Once I played the Queen and, what was it, Rumpelstiltskin? Yeah, it was Rumpelstiltskin. I was like, what was it, 4th grade, I think, 5th grade. And, that was pretty terrible. It was like just in the classroom. And I once had a girl come up to me, my best friend at the time when I was in junior high, my friend Wayne and I, we were so bad. The coach had us go to the girls' side because they had the gym separated for like 2 weeks. They put down that big cloth wall thing or whatever, they used to do. I don't know if they do that now. So we're standing there, we're throwing a ball back and forth talking about stuff, the usual stuff, probably comic books or whatever. And then this really cute girl comes up to us and she walks right up to me and she goes, you're really cute. It's too bad you're such a geek. And I was like, so? And then when she walked off, my buddy high-fived me and thought it was awesome. And I thought it was funny too. This is like, big deal. Oh, I'm a geek. I'm good looking. And it was like, whatever. I think it's really funny because I actually had where these girls seemed like they liked me, and then when I turned out that I wasn't cool or something, all of a sudden they turned on me with all their asshole friends of theirs or whatever. I could do a whole story about bullying and stuff, and I will say for the record, I'm going back and forth on all kinds of subjects here, but I actually absolutely hated high school, and I had a choice of going back one more year or dropping out, and I was like, I stayed home because I hated these people. This is when I lived in Idaho. I lived between Blanchard and Spear Lake, and I hated that freaking school. A lot of assholes and just people always starting crap with me, because I had long hair and I'd wear a camouflage jacket, combat boots, and every day when I waited for the bus, I would throw up. I mean, no joke. I'd eat something. Usually it was like Rocky and Bullwinkle were on, and then I'd walk down the road because we had this long dirt road that went up right to the freeway, and I'd wait for the bus. Hey, cat's going crazy. And I'd puke every day, and a part of it was just because getting up that early. I hate getting up early, but also my nerves were shot. I hated school. I hated riding the bus. My savior was and will always be, okay, and I need to mention that, but I'll have a whole thing about that later down the road. So I had this, like, really cheap Walkman that my grandma got me, and it was like, to rewind it, you had to, like, turn the tape over. I only had one button, like, rewind forward, but it was one button, if that makes any sense, and then play and stop. So anyways, I would always have tapes with me, and that really helped me a lot, not listening to all the assholes on the bus. Anyways, I dropped out of school, and I tried to go back a couple of years later, but apparently my grandma would have to pay a bunch of money because it would have been over the invisible line in Washington. And we're just like, oh, well, I ended up, I think it was like 93. Well, I came to Spokane in 92, and then I went to Career Path Services, and I got my GED, and they really helped me out, and so that was cool. And I have that certificate somewhere, and I have a signed by Tom Foley, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, a lot of experiences in life, good and bad. Like I said, I'm dealing with the diabetes right now. I have high blood pressure, which sucks. I have to take I think it's 7 medication pills a day, and then I'm supposed to, well, not something I have to do, but, taking like my vitamins, my multiple vitamins and stuff, my magnesium, which I don't know if it really helps me. I mean, I'm tired every day and I don't really feel that good. I don't ever really feel that good. But that part of the reason why I haven't felt too good is, of course, my blood pressure apparently is still kind of high. I've been trying to bring that down, and I don't think I'm doing too well. And then, of course, I had been to the doctors in like 3 years, I think. So the diabetes, that hasn't been great. And then, dealing with a lot of depression off and on. In fact, lately I've been really, really getting depressed, which, wow. There is my machine. Okay, right in the middle of this show, I just solved a mystery. This is freaking awesome. Or this better not be battery acid. So I just found my noise device here. My friend Greg gave me this noise toy that my friend Sean built. Okay, please tell me this is it. So I've been doing noise, like I mentioned, for a long time. Noise, garbage, vomit. As some people would say, one man homemade bedroom noise, which isn't real noise. Like whatever, you elitist douches. So this thing that I got, yes, mystery solved. Okay, so several years ago, my friend Greg gave me this noise machine that he bought from a friend of mine, my friend Sean, as I like to call him, Schnon, Brotherhood of Stench, Afterbirth, supposedly vegan steak knife, which I don't know if he's done anything with that project. But anyways, he's one of my oldest friends. So he built him this machine because he does, I can't even think of the word right now, rewiring like stuff, like toys and stuff, and turning them into noise machines. So I found the one part of it because it's like this, it's almost like it looks like a big box with switches all over, and I couldn't find the other part to it, and I just found it, and I just plugged it in. So all you need to do is put some batteries in it. Yes, this is so cool. This is really exciting. So I want to let you all know that you're listening to this, and if you're still listening to this, thank you very much. I will definitely have more, like my episodes will be more focused. Like I said, I'm going to be doing one. It's just going to be a total praise-a-thon of the Road Warrior Mad Max 2, because I love that freaking movie. And then, I'll have themes going, and sometimes I am all over the place. I probably am sounding too serious right now because I like to joke around and do voices, and I haven't really been doing that here. It's also because I'm mildly nervous. I shouldn't be because there's nobody here except for, I don't know where she went. There's a little kitty cat up here somewhere. Stormy's hiding out somewhere. She's up somewhere up here, and then I got Walker's over there. What's up, Walker? What? He's Walker the Rocker, the black and white menace, right? What? He's a weird tuxedo. He's definitely a menace to society. Here comes Stormy, come here. I love cats, and then my big giant cat, his name is Taz. He's downstairs. I'm surprised he's not yelling yet. He never comes upstairs. He used to. He doesn't come upstairs anymore, and sometimes he does sneak up here, and then I see him and he runs down the stairs, and it's funny because he's a big fat black cat. He looks like he's a Bombay, which I just discovered a while back. But anyways, he's a big, beautiful, oversized kitten. He's awesome. He looks like a, witch's cat, and he's awesome. I love black cats, and if you don't like black cats or even cats at all, then I don't like you, and I don't want to know you. Yeah, and I'm looking at my hockey mask right here. I love my hockey mask. It's like, I love masks. I have a lot of masks. I have a lot of luchador masks and all kinds of masks. I got a weird, creepy clown mask downstairs. Maybe I'll do a episode talking about masks. I got mannequin heads and just all these different, lots of stuff lying around, lots of cassettes too. I have a lot of tapes and CDs and LPs and just a lot of stuff, man. Oh, there she is. There she is. I'm looking over at my Jean-Claude Van Damme collection over there, which is next to my Criterion collection, which is next to my Liam Neeson collection, and way over there is my Nicolas Cage collection, which is I think I like 36 films, and I need more. I'm missing a lot of Nicolas Cage. I love Nicolas Cage. And no doubt throughout my show, because Nicolas Cage is definitely one of my favorite actors. I realized it one day that, this guy is totally cool, and if I see a Nicolas Cage movie for sale and I have the money, I'll buy it. Only time I haven't done that was he had this Western that came out a while ago. I was at Best Buy, and the thing is, if I would have had enough money, I would have bought it, but I was like, I saw something else that I wanted. I don't even remember. It might have been Return of the Living Dead, the special edition Blu-ray or something, but I'm actually having fun. I know this show is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to maybe make a little more sense. It might not make sense. You might click on the link to listen to this, and it might be a whole bunch of noise and weird sounds and farts and belches, and I don't know. Like Tim said, just do your show, man. And you know what, Tim? I really appreciate you. So thank you. I love you, brother. And before I forget, before I end this episode, because I probably got a few minutes to go, I completely forgot to say, before I forget now, is my friend Tim. I met Tim back in 1992, I think. I believe it was 1992. Spokane, Washington, which is where I'm still at. And I was going to try out for Benny and June because I didn't have a job and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And I was like, oh, crap. I'm like, maybe I could become an actor. So caught a bus, went out. I can't remember where it was, where the tryouts or what do you want. I can't even think right now. Anyways, so I'm standing in line, and there's this tall guy with this kind of poofed up hair, and it was hilarious. A nice guy. And then this cute, total gothic looking girl looked like Lydia Dietz, which her name turned out to be Stephanie. And I could tell you a whole story about her. She's cool. I've actually been trying to find her, hoping to find her because she's a dear friend, and I miss her a lot. I love her. She's a dear friend, man. I love all my friends. But anyways, I'm standing in line. We ended up, long story short, we ended up becoming friends. We've been friends ever since. And Tim is one of the very few people that has totally believed in me. And I want to let you know, man, I'm dead serious. I freaking love you from the bottom of my heart. You're an awesome dude. I'm proud of you. And I want to thank you for believing in me, man. It means a lot to me. So Tim is a lot of the reason why I'm doing this show now. And this is a horrible episode, but that's okay. I'm sure the next episode is going to be a lot better. I don't know what's going to be, but you'll find out. Beyond the podcast of 1984 is the world of the bizarre alien from outer space. And of course, I will be probably mentioning my dream lady, who I love with all my heart. We're talking about my cats. We'll be talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. Movies, art, comics, scenes, good times, bad times, living, loving. She's just a woman. Okay, now I'm quoting off Led Zeppelin. The songs. Duh. But I'll be talking about all kinds of cool stuff, a lot of pop culture stuff. And yeah, and I hope that you like that intro. This has been Charles the Bizarre Alien saying, stay sick, take care, don't forget to change your underwear. And as always, as I've been saying for many, 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 many years, keep the filth, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Podcast of 1984. All right, later. Bye.
Beyond the Podcast of 1984. Beyond the Podcast of 1984. Beyond the Podcast of 1984. Beyond the Podcast of 1984.